What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and modern information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and I'm thrilled to introduce my guest today. His name is John Muresan, and he's a loan officer out of San Antonio, Texas, at a corporation, All Western Mortgage. John, welcome to the show.
Hey Rocco, hey, nice connecting with you today, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. So, John, why don't we start off the show? Just can you give us a brief introduction and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. This is John Mears, and I'm working, for All Western Mortgage. We're doing residential mortgages. I have been doing this since 2015. Um, Before this, I was involved in something else. I was working as a respiratory therapist. But I'm thrilled to be in this industry, especially in a time like this when people do need our help. So, but yeah, it's great. It's been fun. I started, in 2015. I started full time, and I'm very fortunate that along the way I was able to help a lot of families actually fulfill their dream of owning a home.
Absolutely. So you started in 2015. So you've been a loan officer for about 4 to 5 years now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And before you were what did you say, respiratory?
Respiratory therapist, yes. So this is very interesting because actually it's right now with this COVID. Actually, I still keep in touch with people that I used to work with in hospital, and um, there's this huge buzz right now about ventilators and so forth. I'm very familiar with how those things work, but my heart goes out to all of the physicians, nurses, respiratory therapists, EMS people, everybody that comes in contact with patients in a time like this. And so I understand what hard work is, and I appreciate all the people that are, so selfless and they go out there and they put their best every single day, especially in a time like this.
Absolutely. Now, what made you really want to get into the mortgage industry from where you were?
This is very interesting. Actually, I was before I moved to Texas. I used to live in Arizona, and a friend of mine um, who's been a loan officer for many years. Once I came over here, I we kept in touch, and I referred him some clients, and he said, actually, if you'd get a license, you would actually be able to make a commission on this thing. So I started, kind of playing with that, and I became, I at one point I got my license, and I just started, working as a loan officer, and I love it. As a matter of fact, there's, the skills that you learn, in one place, let's say in one field, kind of stay with you, and then you just apply them in a different field, But it's the critical thinking skills and, assessing the situation that you have in front of you, the task at hand. So that never changes, I mean, in the loan industry is exactly the same. You get to serve people, you get to help them. You help them in a different, in a different way, but you're still over there. You fulfill a need that they have. So you have to assess everything. You get all of the data. You have to look at it. You have to think. It's critical thinking. It's involved.
Definitely. So you came from a job where you help people. Now you still
Yes.
help people. What would you say is the most satisfying or rewarding thing or most fulfilling thing about your job as a loan officer?
Oh man, I'm very happy when I go to bed, in the evening, knowing that I help somebody get into a home. That's what makes it for me, because I meet people. I meet a lot of people that their dreams are crushed and they cannot get in a home. So just by being over there for them, helping them with this, it's a huge part of what we do, helping them fulfill one of their biggest dreams they have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the biggest investment that they'll ever make. So it's definitely fulfilling to help them get into that home.
Yep, 100%, definitely. And so just by being able to hold their hand, to teach them, to guide them through the process, whether it's the first time buyer, whether it's, they bought multiple homes so far. I mean, this process is changing. There are a lot of changes that come along. So just having the ability to connect with them, let them know what's going on, what are the new requirements, what is it that they have to do. So it's definitely rewarding knowing that you help somebody.
For sure. So shifting gears here, when you first started your job as a loan officer about 4 to 5 years ago, moving into your new job, what were your biggest, struggles or any obstacles that you had faced early on?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. I think everybody that has been involved in a different field and transferred over to mortgages, or if they ever switched a field from a guaranteed salary to
Commission.
commission work, commission reimbursement, it's that a lot of the times there's that fear. Man, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna survive? But I guess just learning how to connect with people. That was actually one of the things that, and we're developing. Every day we're improving. Just by me coming on your show, it's a learning experience for me at the end of the day. But it's more of, I love doing this. I believe I was born to serve. So whether I serve, I used to serve people at the bedside, in the respiratory field, or being involved in the ministry. I'm also involved in a ministry over here at a local church, or doing mortgages. It's about helping people.
So what did you really do to, fix that problem that you had? Is it just time, just more time and more experience?
I think it comes with that. So besides the experience and the time, practicing it's the biggest thing. But then, obviously listening to some of the masters, uh,
Mhm.
reading some of the books, watching some of the mastermind events. I mean, just trying to improve. I'm a student at this game. So just like you, and probably like everybody in the industry, we're trying to improve.
We're all students, definitely learning every single day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's say that you were talking to yourself or 5 years ago when you were about to make the switch or somebody else in that position. What advice would you give to them when they're, switching from their current job to the mortgage industry or even someone young just starting out in the industry?
Oh man, so the things have changed a little bit. Obviously, the profession is the profession, right? I mean, you're doing a loan, but the things have changed a lot. And I remember when right in the very first year when I got into it, we're interviewing somebody to for the branch, and an older gentleman, and coming on, he's like, okay, well, can I have a few $100s for a billboard, or for I want to have a little flyer to go in the flea market and put it over there so I can see if I can get some foot traffic and get some loans. uh, the if somebody's starting today in the mortgage industry, this is we have to get out. Social media, it's a huge it's a powerful tool. um, I guess my number one advice is, don't be silent about it. Don't be silent about it. A lot of the people are very silent about it, and if people don't know what you're doing, it's hard to have business coming by. So that's one. The other is, don't just rely on the relationships that are coming from a previous business. That can be pretty painful. So just going out there, trying to meet new people, trying to reach out, and make yourself available to new clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting yourself out there is definitely huge in the beginning. So, and you touched on this, you said social media. So, in recent years, technology and social media in the mortgage industry has definitely, changed. The times have changed. So, how has the technology or social media affected you in your business?
Well, it did, and the thing is, I wanted to affect me in a positive way. Moving forward, I'd like for this thing. I want to use it in the right way, so I can be, I can have the benefit from it. Um, but we're still, even after something like this, we get questions. Whenever something changes, you have friends, you have family, you have past clients. That they're reaching out to you with certain questions. Then we have all of the drip campaigns. Once we finish along with the customer, we have all of the drip campaigns that they go out and they're informed. But I'd say the human factor, it's a very important thing. I mean, we have automatization. We can use certain things that are use certain processes in place. But at the end of the day, it's us that we have to talk with them.
Yeah.
It's the human interaction that has to
Yeah,
be there.
the human element is definitely important. It definitely makes things easier, and like you said, you know, it has a lot of automations and things like that. But adding that human touch into it is important. Now, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, no.
Yeah, so you mentioned drip campaigns and all this stuff. What what are you doing in terms of drip campaigns? Is that to maintain your relationships with your past clients?
Sure, sure. So mainly the CRM that we have,
Okay.
it's internally it's mainly geared towards clients that we already closed a loan with. So for a number of years after we closed, they receive so many emails from us. I mean, obviously, at any point, some of this.
Did we lose him, John? Did we lose you? Let's give it a second. Let's see if John comes back on. I think we got him back. John,
What happened?
froze
Okay.
up, but I think we're good now.
Yes, 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 yes. We are. So. Um, Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so the human element is one of the I think it's one of the most important things. Uh, you know,
Yeah, we're
besides,
talking about the drip campaigns and maintaining the CRM, maintaining relationships. So,
yeah.
yeah, so what CRM are you guys currently using?
So we used to, we still use part of it. It's called Top of Mind. Um, so that's one of them. Then we, as a company, we merged to Unify.
Hmm.
So
Okay, and how are you guys liking that?
So, I mean, I loved Top of Mind, and it's still good. But now Unify, I'd say it's even better. Yeah, I
Hmm.
like it. We use
Does it
it.
help? Does the CRM help keep organized or automated anything?
It sure does. It sure does. So if putting the time into it, it can definitely help with keeping things organized and
Hmm.
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah, it
sure.
definitely takes time to enter all the data and all the information in. But once you do have it, it's definitely a very powerful tool if you keep it maintained and organized correctly.
Yes, sir. I
So
agree
go
with
ahead.
you.
Yep. So I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
you said social media, you said all this stuff. So what is your goal with social media, or where do you see all of this going in the future?
So I think it's gonna grow. Obviously, I myself I'm fairly new at it, But goal is to just get out there and tell my story, share my share my story with the people. There are probably people that go through the same thing that I went through, and especially talking about acquiring something. Now, one of the things that's interesting, I was born and raised in Romania. Okay.
Mm.
I came over here in 2004, and I only had $500 and two bags with me. Everything else, it's history. So this, this country truly is, a land of blessings. There are a lot of opportunities, and even though we go through hard times, right? There was 2008. Then there was a lot of hard work following those years. Now it's this COVID, this event that it's a huge had a huge impact on everything. But even with this, there's still a lot of opportunities available for people that frankly I don't think you can find them in so many other countries around the world. So we're blessed over here. But in
Yeah.
terms of using social media, I think it's just telling our story, and trying to see if we can impact somebody, and then help them out.
Yeah, that's an amazing story that you just said. It's been an honor getting to know you. Um, so do you put your story out there at all on social media or anything like that?
So every now and then I make a comment about it.
Hmm.
So eventually I'll be a little bit more vocal about it,
Yeah.
because um, I imagine that there probably a lot of other people going or having the same experience that I had. Now I do know of people, especially in the Romanian community, that came to the States and they went through harder times to make it over here. They went through uh, more difficult environment, but the one I did. But I'm so happy that I'm definitely I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and definitely in social media, just putting yourself out there, making posts and making them relatable to you. So it could be, some posts about your business, some about your story, like we said, the personal touch to it. Um, and and you can also use it to brand yourself. Like you were a uh, respiratory therapist, and you came from Romania. So there's a bunch of different ways you could brand yourself and post about yourself.
sure, yeah. So yeah, well, it's a work. It's a work at it, and what can I say? I mean, so long as every day when we wake up and we have the desire to move on, it's putting in that extra step, extra effort. Yeah, it's
Absolutely. So let's transition. Let's talk about the buyers now. So let's transition to the buyer side. When you're working with a client, so what do you see as their biggest fear or biggest misconception or anything before they start working with you?
sure. So I work with any kind of buyer, right? So whether FHA, conventional, VA, jumbos, um, my heart goes out to people that are self-employed.
Hmm.
uh, you know a lot of the times those are the people that most of the time they probably don't even realize how much they can qualify for, right? So that's one.
Hmm.
But in general, I would say a lot of the people that when they think about applying for a mortgage, they're concerned about their credit. Oh man, do I have a good credit? Do I have enough credit? So then a lot of the time, some of them, they're probably a little bit misinformed. They come to you and say, hey, I have a I check my credit karma. My FICO is 760. What can you give me? Give me a what rate can you give me? So just taking a buyer from that from that point, and explaining how rates work, how credit works, how what's a tri-merge credit report, and so forth. So going through that, it's a little bit of work, but I guess that would be number one, their credit, and then number two, um, the income. I mean, these days, the thing that probably people are mostly concerned is the income to be there, especially people that are on W-2, they're working for somebody. And when we talk about self-employed people, it's a little bit different. You got to get through those taxes. You got to sit down with them. Coach them in certain things.
Hmm.
Uh,
What about down payment? Do you see that as the biggest big misconception or fear? They think
That
they need a huge
that too,
down.
yes, 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 very good point. That too, yes. I mean, so many times I came across clients. They were like, "Man, I've heard you need to have 20% in order to buy your house. Is that correct?" So you take them from there to, once you see what kind of loan you can put them in, then you can tell them, "Oh no, actually, you can do less than that." Let's
Yeah.
see, so that too, actually, that can be a lot of the times that's a concern. But I think it differs from case to case, and in a lot of the cases people don't realize how you can work out everything at the end of the day to make it happen.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that really comes down to having a loan officer like yourself who's educated and knows the process and can advise them to make the correct decision.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, John, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had an amazing time speaking with you, and I really appreciate your time.
Same. Thank you very much. Same here, Rocco. Keep up the good work. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you to all the viewers for watching, and we'll see you again on the next episode.